Moreland, around Central Florida with Dana St. Clair, music critic Rick DeAmpert, and photo tips from Gary Monroe. Joe, he was born in a Daytona Beach funeral home, the grandson of a celery farmer, educated at Yale, and now he records the Blues Kings for all our enjoyment. Thank you so much for joining us for Faces and Places. We're glad to have you here.
Sure is great to be here.
Well, after getting your life started in a funeral home, how did that happen that you were born there?
Well, in Daytona Beach, everybody who was born during the war was born at Haig and Black, because the Halifax Hospital was taking care of wounded veterans.
That's interesting.
There's more than you think in the Daytona area who were born in Haig and Black.
And you attended school at Seabreeze.
Indeed.
And played the pier when everybody was playing the pier and it was really hot in the 60s, I guess.
Yes, playing the pier was one of the great experiences of my life.
And now you record some of the most famous people in the music industry. Name a few for us and tell us what it's like.
Well, I've recorded a lot of older blues artists like Rufus Thomas, who did Walk in the Dog, or Lazy Lester, and a lot of younger blues artists that we're trying to discover all the time, new blues talent. There's a young fellow named Kenny Neal. We've done 5 albums for him for Alligator Records.
And he's the son of...
He's the son of Ray Fulmer. And we have a young artist, Lucky Peterson, who now records for Polygram. We've done a couple of albums for him here.
You've also had the James Taylors come through here.
Well, sure, we had James Taylor come through to work with his brother Alex, and also his brother Hugh, both of whom recorded here. Greg Allman has come through twice to work on his close friend Floyd Miles' material.
He's a wonderful blues entertainer.
Yes, Floyd is, and I and Greg and Dwayne Allman worked together in those bygone days at the Pier and the Martinique and the early days of Main Street and that Daytona music scene.
Well, do you think blues is enjoying a growth among baby boomers? It seems as though folks in my age group are maybe a little less rock and a little more blues in the collection. Is that a trend, or is it just something I'm perceiving?
Very much a trend, and I think it's mirrored in the growth of the House of Blues chain and the fact that Disney is buying into House of Blues. I think the fact that B.B. King's is one of the clubs that is opening in the new E-Zone development at Universal that was announced today. I think these are indicative of the fact that blues is becoming a more mainstream form of music. Been there all along, but now everybody's listening to it.
Right. Well, you had mentioned a moment ago that you recorded, I believe it was Kenny Neal, for Alligator Records, but you have your own label at King Snake, so how does that work in the industry?
Well, I recorded Kenny his first album for King Snake, and we talked, and we both agreed that Alligator would be a bigger label for him and a better step forward, and so I suggested that we go to Alligator and strike a deal with them. And the same thing with Lucky Peterson. I believe that these guys should reach the broadest audience possible, and if there's a bigger label that can do a better job, well, I encourage them to get on that label.
Others have said that to me, that you are sort of a mentor and promoter, and that you really do help people climb that blues ladder, and that's a tribute to your work as well. Did you see yourself as sort of a blues coach or a music industry coach?
Well, pretty much so. I mean, I recognize that my label, King Snake, is a small label. I guess you could call it a feeder label. And as a tributary, that we want to just keep pouring blues out into the grand stream of popular music. I don't have any problem with it at all. I'm always looking for a bigger label to take talent to, principally because the bigger the blues gets, the better it is for all of us. And the blues is a kind of a small, cooperative type of business. Not a lot of competition. I like everybody. I know
That is wonderful. You mentioned that your recording booth has analog equipment in it when so many folks in other ends of the music industry are going to digital for editing purposes and to sort of paste things together like on paper. But why do y'all prefer the analog or something that's a little different from the most modern thing out there for recording?
For a couple of reasons. The first reason is that we use a traditional palette without synthesizers. We'll use the regular acoustic drums recorded through microphones, an electric bass, electric guitars, through their amps, then recorded. And that's the way blues has traditionally been recorded. That's the way it sounds. I don't want to tamper with something that is so perfect as a good sounding blues record. Secondly, analog on its own sounds better. It has a warmer, sweeter sound, and it's not so crystal clear. It has a certain, I don't want to say muddiness, but it's the sounds within a record are bound together. When people work in the digital medium, they're quite concerned that they have space between and a transparency between each individual sound. I'm not interested so much in the transparency as in the cohesion. So analog works for us. We have digital.
Sure.
We have digital, a lot of it. We just don't use it.
As you look back and forward, are there any particular artists that you just love the most to work with in the studio, or any that you're dying to get into your studio? Do you have any thoughts looking back at the ones you loved and forward to the ones you'd like to entice?
Well, I have had artists that I love that have passed on. Alex Taylor is one. Root Boy Slim is another. These are fellows that I would give anything just to shake hands with them again, much less get them in the studio. As for working ahead, I'm always looking to find new people who have the authentic blues feel. I'm looking forward to working with Kenny Neal again and all the fellows on our roster. But always you're looking for that great young artist who sounds traditional and authentic, yet has some kind of sparkle and charisma. So that's what keeps you going. Keep your eyes open.
Mm-hmm. Any particular people in Florida or in the Southeast that you've recorded that our viewers should keep an ear open for?
Well, we have a young artist from Savannah by the name of Eric Culberson, who I think is a very fine rock blues hybrid. We have Ace Moreland, who he has done 4 albums here, and I feel his new album is going to really propel him into the national spotlight. And then we have some of the old guys like Noble Watts from around here, who I just can't get enough of making Noble Watts records because he's such a great guy and because he exemplifies the Florida blues tradition. Smokehouse is another example of the Florida blues tradition. I think that well, right now they're climbing the blues charts. I just heard they entered the chart at 33 and they're working their way up. I'm really happy because I think that their commitment to the real blues sound is really what the business is all about. They're not trying to improve on anything. They're just trying to play the blues as it should be played.
And do tell, why are you in Sanford, Florida, a fellow who could probably go to any of the music capitals of the nation to work, but yet you're settled in well, it's not exactly a music capital, but perhaps you're making it one.
Well, let me put it this way. I believe that certain things grow well in certain places. And I think that the American South is the natural place for blues to grow. Just the way a pecan tree grows well to me, or an orange tree, or it's where bird dogs and quail run, and I believe that it's appropriate that blues should be made here in the South. And I found that it's not always that easy to record blues in a sterile, technically advanced studio. Often blues artists are intimidated by excessively, sort of souped up surroundings. If we can kind of keep it low key, they're traditional artists, they're folk musicians. We just try to make it easy to record rather than hard. If something goes wrong, it's our fault. It's not theirs.
Bob Greenlee from King Snake Records in Sanford, Florida. Thank you so much for giving us your time and opening up your studio to us for Faces and Places. Thanks a million.
My pleasure.
Artist Ace Moreland, understated in our interview, but a growlin', wailin' blues machine. Here in Sanford at King Snake Recording Studios, Ace Moreland has been working on an album for quite some time. He's an Oklahoma guy who claims Florida as home and who has been playing the guitar since he was 5 years old. Thanks for joining us. We're delighted to have you.
My pleasure, John.
Tell me about getting started on the guitar at age 5.
Well, I had went through several plastic guitars by that time, and that's when I got...
How'd you go through them, you mean?
Oh, broke them, you know, just banging on them. And then my father got me a mandolin. I thought it was a guitar, though. And so I never did break yet, and had, you know, graduated to real guitars the next few years after that.
So did your dad teach you a little bit about it? Or?
No, no, but he...
Are you self-taught?
Pretty much, yeah. I had a few lessons when I was a kid, but, you know, that didn't really amount to a whole lot.
Did your folks say get a real job, or did were they supportive?
They were real supportive. And they said get a real job, too.
Well, I think a lot of folks would feel that way since they want their kids to have the best of everything. You brought one of your favorites with you today. You say you have a stable of how many guitars?
Oh, I've got at least 8 or 10.
That this baby you brought with you today is one of your favorites, huh?
Yeah, it's one of my favorites. It came out of my father's pawn shop. He had a pawn shop, and this is a 1957 Stratocaster. And I've had it since about 73.
Now, what makes this instrument special for the untrained?
Well, you know, they just had a unique sound in the 50s when this was made, and it's a collector's instrument.
Well, you're a blues musician recording on the King Snake label, so does this guitar play in the blues sound?
Yes, this is very much in the blues guitar.
You're working on your 4th album called Keepin' a Secret. I should say releasing your 4th album called Keepin' a Secret. Tell us a little bit about what we'll hear on that.
Well, on that there's several different styles of music. You know, basically the blues ties all of them together, but there's some of your regular blues shuffles and a ballad or two, and there's a song that's almost, you know, gets to the rock and roll stage, but not quite.
When you say an irregular blues shuffle, I'm not quite sure I know what that means.
No, I said a regular blues shuffle.
Oh, it's a regular blues
yeah,
shuffle.
not
Well, I don't know what
irregular.
that means either.
Well, shuffles is just, there are a lot of blues songs are shuffles.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Give me a little example here. Can you?
Oh, every day I got the blues or something like that.
Ba-bum, ba-bum. Yeah, I can feel it, yeah.
You know, that's a
Little blues
yeah,
shuffle.
regular
All right.
12-bar shuffle.
12-bar shuffle. All right. So you've opened for folks like Bonnie Raitt and George Thorogood, some really, really big names in the entertainment industry. What were those experiences like?
Well, Bonnie Raitt, back in '79, she used to come. She was dating her piano player who lived in Tulsa, or was from Tulsa, and I had just moved to Tulsa from northern part of Oklahoma, and I was playing at a club called the Paradise Club, and she used to come in and jam with us on a regular basis, you know, maybe 8 or 10 times, and we got to be good friends, and you know, and then I'd go in there late night after we played across town, and she'd be maybe was jamming with A.C. Reed and Albert Collins one time, I didn't even think she'd seen me come in, and she called me up on the mic, said, "Oh, there's a good friend of mine, it's a great blues singer, I'd like to get him up here," and then calls my name. And I didn't even think she saw me come in, but, you know, that was a high point in, you know,
Yeah, I
feeling
should
good about,
say.
you know, myself and, you know, to be considered a friend of hers.
Well, you have a lot to feel good about. And George Thorogood, what was that experience like?
Oh, well, I opened for George in Oklahoma City, at Norman, Oklahoma, actually, at the Boomer Theater. We did 2 shows the same night. They were sold out. It was at a theater, and I remember before the doors opened, there was all these people outside, and there's big glass doors, and we was just kind of walking through, going from the bathroom upstairs to our dressing room, and they, you know, they thought we were George Thorogood's band or something, and they're all banging on the windows, you know, and the windows are like that. Yeah, it was real exciting. He really fired the people up, you know. Unfortunately, they wasn't that crazy. The crowd wasn't that crazy about our band when we played, you know, but they really dug George's show. But George was a real nice guy. His father traveled with him, and he was a really nice person. You know, his father came to me and said, "Hey, you know, don't let that get you down." Said, "You know, George is an actor, you know, and you're a musician. George is an actor." You know, George had him in the palm of his hand, you know. When my band was opening for him, the crowd, you know, could care less about us.
That's a tough spot for
Yeah.
an opening band to be in. I mean, that's not an uncommon story, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But now you're the boss, right? Now,
Well, sometimes I am.
as much as possible, huh?
Yeah.
What are your musical goals then, after keeping a secret?
Well, you know, I just like to keep touring and kind of broaden my touring spectrum and start making a little bit more money and selling a few more records.
Sounds like a-
Unfortunately, my first 3 albums didn't get very good distribution or promotion.
That's
now-
all going to change now, right?
Yeah, we've got a new distributor, Selecta Hits, out of Memphis, Tennessee, and we're expecting good things from them in the promotion department.
Ace Moreland, blues singer, blues guitarist, recording on the King Snake label in Sanford, Florida. The latest album is called Keepin' a Secret, but we're not going to keep it a secret. We hope you all will listen to Ace Moreland. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you, Janet.